My name is Patrick Barr. I'm the Director in the Northern Ireland Audit Office responsible for education. Our report on Closing the Gap, Social Deprivation and Links to Educational Attainment looks at interventions taken by the Department of Education, the cost of those interventions, and whether there is evidence that the desired outcomes are being achieved. Essentially, the report tries to establish if value for money can be demonstrated. The Department's annual budget is just over £2 billion per annum. In 2019-20, it provided £138 million to help raise attainment in numeracy and literacy skills for pupils from a socially deprived background and narrow the gap in educational outcomes between those pupils and their more affluent counterparts. Almost 75% of this funding relates to two schemes, Sure Start and Targeting Social Need, TSN. The Department uses eligibility for free school meals and the Northern Ireland multiple deprivation measures as measures of social deprivation. Over the last 15 years, there has been no significant improvement in the attainment gap, and so it's difficult to tell if the funding is producing the intended results. This difficulty is compounded by the lack of information collected to demonstrate how the money is actually being spent and what impact the expenditure is having on closing the gap. The gap in attainment at GCSE level over the last 15 years has remained at around 30 percentage points. Our report looked at the Sure Start programme, and while work remains to be done on measuring the impact of this initiative, we found some improvements here following a review in 2015. It's worth noting that although not hard metrics, the feedback that this programme receives from users is excellent. Turning to TSN, more than £900 million has been provided to schools over the last 15 years through this programme. Schools are required to provide information on their use of TSN funding, but we found that only 6% of schools returned data for the 2018-19 year, and less than 15% of schools submitted key stage data for the same year. We have asked the Department to look at how this can be improved. The annual targets for closing the gap have not been met, and unfortunately the gap increases as pupils move through key stages 1 to 3. Without better measurement information and a clear link between funding and outcomes, we're unable to determine value for money in relation to this expenditure. We have made a number of recommendations to the Department, including that all schools provide the required TSN data, including data on development through the key stages, that measures are focused on achieving outcomes, and that the funding model itself is looked at. We're aware of a review being undertaken by an expert panel, and that panel is due to report to the Department in May. We will continue to monitor progress and look for improvement in this important area. A full copy of this report is available on our website.